Welcome to Starbound, where every star tells a story. You ever wondered why aliens have banned us humans from their zoos? Let's get into the story.
Eli stared out at the vast enclosure, its gleaming transparisteel walls showcasing a breathtaking alien vista. Towering bioluminescent flora pulsed with an otherworldly glow, casting the scene in an ethereal lavender light. Lush vegetation carpeted the ground, teeming with exotic fauna unlike anything he'd ever encountered on Earth. This was the Grand Menagerie of Ortharia, a marvel of xeno-engineering and a pinnacle achievement in the history of intergalactic exchange. Eli, a human xeno-anthropologist in his early 20s, adjusted the strap of his observation pack, his heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Today marked the official start of his research fellowship, a coveted opportunity to study human behavior within the menagerie's diverse collection of extraterrestrial creatures. He wasn't alone in his observation platform. A group of Ortharian students, their bodies slender and bipedal with smooth, iridescent skin, huddled nearby, their multifaceted eyes fixed intently on the enclosure. Their expressions, however, were a stark contrast to Eli's wide-eyed wonder. A frown creased Eli's brow as he noticed a subtle tension in their posture, a flicker of unease in their normally placid demeanor. His gaze drifted back to the enclosure. The scene itself was tranquil. A herd of herbivores with feathery appendages grazed peacefully, their long necks swaying as they nibbled on the bioluminescent flora. Yet something felt off. The air crackled with a nervous energy, a stark contrast to the usual serene atmosphere Eli had observed during his preliminary visits. Suddenly, a high-pitched shriek pierced the air, shattering the peaceful illusion. Eli flinched, his eyes darting towards the source of the sound. A colossal avian creature, its iridescent plumage shimmering in the lavender light, was flapping its wings in a frenzy, slamming its beak repeatedly against the transparisteel barrier. The students beside him recoiled, their unease morphing into genuine fear. Eli's mind raced. This wasn't normal behavior. He'd reviewed countless hours of footage from the menagerie, and the creatures always displayed a calm indifference towards human observers. A cold knot of unease settled in his stomach. Something was causing the animals distress, and he was determined to find out what. The following days were a blur of frantic research and observation. Eli meticulously combed through historical records and video archives, searching for any clues that might explain the sudden shift in the creature's behavior. He interviewed Ortharian zookeepers, their normally stoic expressions laced with an underlying worry. One recurring detail jumped out. The episodes always seemed to coincide with activity in the human enclosure. Eli swallowed a lump in his throat. Could the very presence of humans be causing this distress? The thought seemed absurd, yet the evidence was mounting. He decided to conduct his own observations. He positioned himself near the human enclosure, a glass-walled habitat showcasing a typical human family, relaxing in a simulated Earth environment. The father was reading a book, the mother tending to a garden of miniature plants, and a young girl was engrossed in a game on a handheld device. They seemed perfectly ordinary, their behavior mundane by human standards. Yet, as Eli watched, something unexpected happened. A flock of brightly colored avians, usually flitting about with carefree abandon, abruptly changed course. Their chirps morphed into startled shrieks as they veered away from the human enclosure, their tiny bodies pressed against the far wall of their own habitat. A sense of dread washed over Eli. Even the most innocuous human actions appeared to be triggering a flight or fight response in these alien creatures. He desperately needed to talk to someone who might understand the complexities of human behavior and its potential impact on other species. The answer came in the form of Councilor Lyra, a renowned Ortharian xenobiologist known for her progressive views on interspecies relations. Eli, emboldened by a desperate hope, managed to secure a meeting with her, his heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and nervousness. The meeting took place in a serene garden nestled within the Ortharian Academy. Sunlight filtered through the translucent leaves of bioluminescent flora, casting dappled patterns on the polished stone floor. Councilor Lyra, an Ortharian with shimmering blue skin and piercing multifaceted eyes, greeted Eli with a calmness that both soothed and intensified his anxiety. "Thank you for coming, Dr. Evans," she said, her voice a melodic hum. "I understand your concerns regarding the recent events at the menagerie." Eli launched into a detailed explanation, his voice trembling slightly as he recounted his observations and the historical data he'd compiled. He highlighted the seemingly mundane human behaviors that triggered distress in the alien creatures, his frustration evident. Lyra listened intently, her expression unreadable. Once Eli finished, a thoughtful silence stretched between them. Finally she spoke, her voice laced with a hint of sadness. "Humans are a fascinating species, Dr. Evans. Your capacity for emotion, your unpredictable social interactions, they are unlike anything we have encountered before." "But that's precisely the problem, isn't it?" Eli interjected, his voice laced with a hint of desperation. "Our presence seems to be causing distress to the other creatures." Lyra nodded slowly. "Indeed. Our understanding of human behavior is limited. Your emotional range, your displays of affection, your seemingly chaotic interactions, they are a stark contrast to the logic and order that define Ortharian society." A flicker of hope ignited within Eli. Perhaps, just perhaps, there was a way forward. "Counselor," he began, choosing his words carefully, "if we can bridge this gap in understanding, if we can show the Ortharians that our intentions are peaceful, maybe—" Lyra's eyes gleamed with a newfound interest. "An intriguing proposition, Dr. Evans? But how do we achieve such a feat? How can we translate the complexities of human behavior into a way that resonates with the Ortharian mind?" Eli took a deep breath. He knew this was a long shot, a gamble on the power of human creativity and empathy, but it was the only hope he had. "I have an idea," he declared, a newfound determination hardening his voice. "A way to showcase the positive aspects of humanity, to demonstrate our ingenuity and capacity for cooperation." Lyra leaned forward, her multifaceted eyes reflecting a spark of curiosity. "Do tell, Dr. Evans. I am eager to hear your proposal." Eli outlined his plan, his voice growing in confidence as he described a controlled human exhibit within the menagerie, a place where humans could showcase their creativity, their problem-solving skills, and the beauty of their emotional expression, all in a way that was respectful and mindful of the Ortharian sensitivities. A flicker of a smile played on Lyra's lips. This might just be the crazy idea they needed. The air crackled with tension in the grand chamber of the Ortharian Council. The esteemed elders, their bodies draped in shimmering robes, sat on elevated platforms, their multifaceted eyes fixed on Eli, who stood nervously at the center of the room. Beside him stood Councilor Lyra, her calm presence a stark contrast to the unease swirling in the chamber. Eli had presented his audacious proposal, a pilot program featuring a controlled human exhibit within the Grand Menagerie. The silence that followed his presentation was deafening, broken only by the rhythmic hum of the chamber's ventilation system. "This is madness!" boomed Councilor Varn, his voice echoing through the chamber. A traditionalist known for his rigid adherence to order, his eyes held a venomous glint. "Humans are a menace. Their unpredictable nature is a threat to the well-being of our menagerie." A murmur of agreement rippled through the chamber. Eli felt a wave of discouragement wash over him. He'd poured his heart and soul into this plan, clinging to the belief that it could foster understanding. But the fear in the council chamber was palpable. Lyra, however, remained composed. "Councilor Varn," she began, her voice resonating with authority, "while Dr. Evans's proposition is unorthodox, dismissing it without consideration would be a disservice to the spirit of interspecies communication." She turned to Eli. "Dr. Evans, elaborate on the safety protocols you envision for this exhibit. How can we ensure the well-being of both humans and creatures?" Eli outlined his meticulously researched safety measures. The exhibit would be a self-contained environment, carefully designed to minimize potential disruptions. Human activities would be strictly monitored, focusing on peaceful and enriching interactions. Furthermore, Eli continued, we can use this opportunity to educate the Ortharian public. Informative displays outside the exhibit will explain human customs and behavior, fostering empathy and understanding. The council remained divided. Some, like Varn, clung to their fear of the unknown. Others, swayed by Lyra's logic, seemed cautiously intrigued. Finally, Councilor Nara, a wise elder known for her balanced perspective, spoke. Fear is a powerful motivator, but so is curiosity. Dr. Evans's proposal, while risky, offers a potential path towards understanding. Perhaps a trial run, a controlled experiment, could shed light on this matter. A wave of murmurs filled the chamber again. The tension remained, but a flicker of hope ignited within Eli. The council was considering it. After a tense debate that seemed to stretch on for an eternity, a vote was finally called. The results were close, but with a narrow margin, the council approved Eli's proposal for a pilot program. Relief flooded Eli's body, a wave of exhilaration washing away the anxiety. This was just the first step, but it was a step forward, a chance to bridge the gap between humans and Ortharians, a chance to prove that despite their differences, they could coexist in peace. Months flew by in a flurry of activity. News of the pilot program sparked a wave of interest across Ortharia. Eli, alongside a dedicated team of human volunteers and Ortharian engineers, worked tirelessly to design and construct the human exhibit within the Grand Menagerie. The exhibit itself was a marvel of interspecies collaboration. The transparent walls ensured unobstructed views, while sophisticated soundproofing technology minimized potential disruptions to the surrounding habitats. Inside, the environment was meticulously designed to be comfortable for both humans and Ortharians. Lush greenery, replicating Earth flora, provided a calming atmosphere, while interactive displays explained human customs and cultural practices. The centerpiece of the exhibit was a large, open space where humans could showcase their talents and creativity. A team of artists, musicians, and scientists volunteered their skills, eager to present a positive image of humanity. The grand opening day arrived, buzzing with anticipation. Ortharian visitors thronged the exhibit, their multifaceted eyes wide with curiosity. Children pressed their faces against the transparisteel, their expressions a mix of fascination and apprehension. Eli stood at the entrance, his heart pounding with a mix of excitement and nervousness. Would this work? Could humans truly bridge this cultural gap? The first presenter was Maya, a young artist known for her vibrant landscapes. As she began to paint, a hush fell over the crowd. Her brushstrokes were swift and confident, her movements imbued with a quiet passion. The Ortharians watched, mesmerized by the way she transformed a blank canvas into a scene of breathtaking beauty. Next came Kai, a musician with a talent for playing traditional earth instruments. The haunting melodies of his flute filled the air, a stark contrast to the usual sounds of the menagerie. To Eli's surprise, the creatures in the surrounding habitats seemed to perk up, their chirps and clicks taking on a new rhythm as if responding to the music. Finally, it was Dr. Chen's turn. A renowned botanist, he presented a series of interactive displays showcasing the ingenuity of human problem-solving. He demonstrated techniques for cultivating plants in harsh environments, a topic that resonated deeply with the Ortharians, who were constantly battling the challenges of their world's diverse ecosystems. The day unfolded in a whirlwind of activity. Children marveled at human ingenuity, adults pondered the emotional depth expressed through art and music, and scientists exchanged ideas with Dr. Chen, fostering a sense of intellectual collaboration. By the end of the day, the initial apprehension had melted away, replaced by a newfound respect for the human spirit. Eli felt a surge of satisfaction. This was just the beginning, but it was a promising start. Perhaps, just perhaps, humans weren't so terrifying after all. They were a species of boundless creativity, empathy, and a unique capacity for problem-solving. If they could learn to understand each other, the possibilities for interspecies cooperation seemed endless. The success of the opening day brought a wave of optimism. News of the human exhibit spread throughout Ortharia, with positive reviews sparking even greater interest. Eli reveled in the sense of accomplishment, his initial anxiety replaced by a newfound confidence in his plan. However, the universe, it seemed, had other plans. One seemingly ordinary afternoon, as a group of Ortharian students were engrossed in a particularly engaging session with Dr. Chen on plant adaptation, the entire menagerie was plunged into darkness. An unexpected power outage, a result of a malfunctioning geothermal energy core, had blacked out the entire complex. Panic erupted. The sudden lack of light sent the creatures in the surrounding habitats into a frenzy. Shrills and shrieks filled the air as unfamiliar shadows danced across the transparisteel walls. Even the normally stoic Ortharian visitors grew visibly tense. Eli's heart pounded in his chest. This was a disaster. The carefully monitored environment, the controlled interactions, all of it was gone. He cast a worried glance towards the human volunteers. their faces etched with concern. But then, something remarkable happened. Instead of succumbing to panic, the humans sprang into action. A hush fell over the crowd as Sarah, a young volunteer with a background in astronomy, stepped forward. "Everyone, stay calm," she announced, her voice radiating authority despite the darkness. "We can still see the stars." She pointed towards the ceiling, where the transparisteel walls offered a clear view of the night sky, now ablaze with the brilliance of countless stars. The Ortharians, their bioluminescent skin casting an eerie glow in the darkness, turned their multifaceted eyes upwards. "These constellations," Sarah continued, her voice taking on an almost magical quality, "they tell stories. Stories of heroes, of journeys, of courage." She began to weave a narrative, using the constellations as her guide, her voice calming the rising tide of fear. Meanwhile, other volunteers were working their magic. David, a resourceful engineer, had managed to salvage a few bioluminescent plants from a nearby exhibit. The faint glow, though modest, provided some much-needed light, and the calming hum of the plant's bioluminescent properties seemed to have a soothing effect on the creatures. Other humans improvised games and songs, their voices filling the once panicked atmosphere with a spirit of collaboration and resilience. The Ortharian children, initially withdrawn, were drawn in by the stories and songs, their fear replaced by a newfound sense of curiosity. By the time the emergency power generators kicked in, restoring light to the menagerie, the atmosphere had transformed. The initial panic had given way to a sense of shared experience, a moment of unexpected connection forged in the darkness. The Ortharian students approached Eli and the volunteers, their eyes filled with newfound respect. "Thank you," one of them spoke, his voice laced with awe, "for bringing light, even when there was none." Eli smiled, a warmth spreading through him. This experience, he realized, was more powerful than any carefully planned presentation. It had shown the Ortharians the true strength of the human spirit, their resourcefulness, their empathy, their ability to find light even in the darkest of times. News of the power outage and the humans' remarkable response spread like wildfire across Ortharia. Articles lauded the ingenuity and calming presence of the human volunteers, their actions a stark contrast to the initial fear-mongering narratives. Eli, initially apprehensive about the negative impact of the blackout, found himself thrust into the spotlight. He was interviewed by major news outlets, his message of interspecies understanding resonating with the Ortharian public. The Ortharian Council, once divided about the human exhibit, convened for an emergency meeting. Councilor Varn, the staunch traditionalist, remained skeptical, but even he couldn't deny the positive impact the humans had during the crisis. Councilor Lyra, her voice brimming with conviction, seized the opportunity. "This incident," she declared, "is a testament to the potential for cooperation between our species. The humans, despite the fear of unknown darkness, displayed remarkable resourcefulness and empathy. This is a quality we can learn from, a quality that can enrich our society." The council chamber buzzed with debate. Some councilors, swayed by public opinion and Lyra's unwavering advocacy, expressed a newfound openness towards interspecies interaction. Others remained cautious, urging a slow and measured approach. Finally, a decision was reached. The council voted to lift the ban on humans in zoos, albeit with a set of strict guidelines. Humans would be allowed in designated exhibits, their interactions with the creatures carefully monitored. Educational programs would be implemented, fostering a deeper understanding of human behavior and promoting respect for both species. Eli and Lyra were hailed as heroes, their dedication to interspecies understanding paving the way for a new era of cooperation. They were invited to speak at conferences and educational institutions across Ortharia, their message of empathy and collaboration resonating with audiences of all ages. Eli, overwhelmed by the sudden wave of recognition, remained grounded. He knew this was just the beginning. Building trust and understanding was a long-term endeavor, but the foundation had been laid. Humans, once viewed as terrifying anomalies, were now seen as potential partners, their unique qualities offering a valuable perspective to the Ortharian world. Years passed, and the once radical idea of a human exhibit blossomed into a thriving program of interspecies exchange. The initial pilot program at the Grand Menagerie expanded, with human exhibits becoming a popular attraction across Ortharia. Eli, no longer a nervous young researcher, had become a renowned xeno-anthropologist. Alongside Lyra, they served as ambassadors, traveling to different planets and fostering cultural understanding between humans and other galactic species. One such visit took them to Xylo Prime, home to the Xylosian race, a civilization known for their logic-driven approach and emphasis on emotional control. The Xylosians, vaguely insectoid in appearance with chitinous exoskeletons and multifaceted eyes, initially viewed humans with a healthy dose of apprehension. Eli and Lyra, however, were prepared. They had learned from their experience on Ortharia. This time, the human exhibit wasn't just about showcasing art and music. It was about demonstrating the complexities of human emotions and their role in societal development. A team of psychologists volunteered, leading interactive sessions where humans express their emotions through art, music, and storytelling. A young couple, for instance, performed a traditional earth dance, their movements a graceful expression of love and joy. A poet recited verses that spoke of loss and grief, the raw vulnerability resonating with the Xylosian audience. The initial apprehension slowly melted away, replaced by a sense of fascination. The Xylosians, accustomed to suppressing their emotions, found themselves drawn to the raw honesty displayed by the humans. They began to see emotions not as a source of chaos, but as a driving force for creativity, compassion, and even problem-solving. One day, after a particularly moving performance by a human musician, a Xylosian elder approached Eli and Lyra. "Your species," he said, his voice a low hum, "is a paradox. You are unpredictable, yet capable of great empathy. Your emotions are a source of both conflict and connection." Eli smiled. "That," he replied, "is what makes us human. Understanding and appreciating those complexities is what leads to true connection." The Xylosian elder nodded slowly. "Perhaps," he conceded, "there is more to learn from your species than we initially anticipated." This response, while subtle, signified a significant shift. The Xylosians, like the Ortharians before them, were taking the first steps towards understanding human emotions, recognizing them not as flaws, but as facets that contributed to the richness of human experience. Eli and Lyra knew their journey was far from over. There were countless other species in the galaxy, each with their own unique cultures and biases. But with each successful visit, they chipped away at the walls of fear and misunderstanding, forging a path towards a future of interspecies collaboration and respect. Years turned into decades, and Eli's hair, once a vibrant brown, was now streaked with silver. Lyra, ever graceful, remained youthful in appearance, a testament to the Ortharian lifespan. Their journey as ambassadors had taken them to countless worlds, each with its own unique challenges and triumphs. Their success had a domino effect. The Galactic Assembly, once hesitant about human integration, revised its policies on interspecies interaction. Human exhibits became commonplace, not as spectacles of fear, but as platforms for cultural exchange. Human artists, musicians, and scientists found themselves in high demand, their perspectives enriching the vast tapestry of galactic life. One sunny afternoon, Eli and Lyra found themselves back on Ortharia, the planet where their journey began. They were invited to the grand opening of a new addition to the Grand Menagerie, a children's section dedicated to interspecies interaction. The space was filled with laughter and joyous chatter. Human children, supervised by volunteers, interacted with young Ortharians, their differences seemingly forgotten as they built structures out of brightly colored blocks. A Xylosian child, its chitinous exoskeleton gleaming, played a game of tag with a group of giggling human kids, their movements a symphony of youthful energy. Eli felt a pang of nostalgia mixed with immense satisfaction. The fear that had once shrouded human-alien interaction had been replaced by curiosity and a spirit of collaboration. The children, innocent and open-minded, were laying the foundation for a truly intergalactic society. He approached a young human girl, her eyes bright with curiosity as she held a conversation with a fluffy, multi-legged creature native to a distant planet. The girl pointed to a storybook in her hand. "Can you read me this story, friend?" she asked, her voice a beacon of innocence. The alien creature chirped and trilled in its language, a translation appearing on a nearby screen. "Of course, little one," the translation read. "It's a story about a human princess who befriends a brave dragon." Eli smiled. Stories, he realized, were universal bridges, connecting hearts and minds across the vast expanse of space. And in the laughter and shared experiences of these children, he saw a future where the galaxy wouldn't just coexist, but truly thrive together. The universe, once a place of fear and misunderstanding, was now a canvas waiting to be filled with countless stories of friendship, collaboration, and the boundless potential of interspecies understanding. And Eli and Lyra, the unlikely ambassadors who dared to bridge the gap, knew their work was far from over. They were just getting started.